Hi guys, this is Alan and I'm back with another video, and today I want to tell you guys about what happens on exam day. So the 2025 November exam series is going to begin in 30 days, and I want to tell you guys what happens on the actual day, the exam day itself, based on what I experienced during the 25 million exam series. So first, let's talk about the important stuff that you need for your exams. So for your exams, you need to bring your individual timetable slip, your passport or your ID card, and of course the stationery with which you will be taking the exam. So the individual timetable slip is a little piece of paper that contains all the dates for all the papers or the components for which you will be sitting for your international GCSEs. And it contains your name, your center number, and your candidate number. And you need to bring your passport and your ID card as well. So the the invigilators want to see both of those two pieces of important documents with you in an exam day. And of course, your stationery must be brought in a see-through bag. They don't want anything colored. They want to make sure that they can see through the stationery, so that what you've brought into the exam room is the stuff that you're allowed to bring into the exam room. And when it comes to the stationery, you want to use black ink only, and I would like to suggest you to avoid using gel pens. And that's because if for any reason you get your answer paper wet with water or any kind of liquid, the gel pens, they can actually get removed, so all your wetting can go away because of liquid or any kind of moisture. So you want to avoid using gel pens, and you want to stick with your typical standard dry ink, and you want to of course make sure you are using black ink. And when it comes to pencil, you want to use 2B or HB pencil. I don't really recommend mechanical pencils. Some of my friends did use mechanical pencils back in the exam that we sit, but I think normal pencils like these ones do the best job. So this one is the one that I used during my exam season. This is HB, and it's really dark. You can press it really hard, it won't break. Really good for drawing graphs, diagrams, and really everything else. And of course, as for my pen, I used the Pilot, the retractable one. This is quite expensive, but retractables are really handy because you don't want to be wasting time, capping and uncapping your pen. The retractable, the clicker, saves you a lot of time. So non-gel pen, your standard black ink will do, and your HB or 2B pencils will be your go-to tools in your exam toolkit or your stationery toolkit. And of course, don't forget your rulers and your calculator. Now, when it comes to the calculator, I use the FX991ES. This is the one that almost all IGCSE students use. And when it comes to the calculator, make sure that it still has enough battery to power you through the exam season. Now, the 2025 November series, it only lasts 4 weeks, so it should be fine. And these things, I've heard they last up to 3 to 4 years, given that the solar panel is actually working. So you don't have to worry about it if you've just bought one for your IGCSE. So it's only been in use for 2 years. Don't have to worry about it. But if you have anxiety or paranoia like I did, you can go with 2 of these calculators. This one that I'm currently holding, this is not the actual Casio, not the authentic one. This is a false copy, as they call it. This is really cheap. So when I went to the exam room, I took the actual, the expensive, the authentic one, and the false copy, just in case one of them broke down. And you don't need it. You don't need 2 copies. Just if you're paranoid or anxious about your calculator stuffing your bag in the exam room, you can go with that as well. Right, and as for your physics and maths exams, guys, this is very important. Don't forget your set squares. They'll be useful for your transformation questions. Don't forget your compasses, of course, for your loci. And lastly, for physics, don't forget your protractors, because you will need them for your wave questions, your light wave questions. And the tip that I can give here is pack everything, even if you don't need it, because if you take out your stationery because you don't need it for a particular exam, for example, for English language, well, when you go to the exam the next day, you might forget it because you took it out the previous day. So just keep everything in one place. Take that, clear see-through bag with you to all exams, and you don't need to worry about forgetting stuff. So that's a really good tip that I can give you there. And yeah, that's everything for the important stuff. Now let's talk about some of the items that I suggest you bring into the exam room. Of course, do bring a water bottle to stay hydrated, to keep your brain running. And do bring long-sleeved clothing. The exam center where I took my exam, which is Strand Hall in Yangon, the hall was massive. There were like 200 candidates, but still the air conditioning was strong enough, very good to make me feel cold. So long sleeve clothing is a very good suggestion. And also when you're bringing water bottle into the exam, you want to make sure that you're bringing the plastic non-reusable ones with the wrap taken off. You do not want to bring the plastic reusable ones. Even if they're see-through, they still don't allow it. They don't want any kind of color. And the universally accepted water bottle is the non-reusable plastic ones with the wrap off. So you don't take anything like this into the exam room, just take the plastic bottles. All right, now let's talk about prohibited items. Now this is kind of a no-brainer, but no watches, whether it's a smartwatch or a normal quartz watch, whatever it is. No watches, nothing on your wrists, and of course no mobile phones. Even if you forgot that you had your phone on you, if the exam has started and they find something on you like your phone or your watch, it will count as candidate malpractice. Of course, before the exam starts, the invigilators will warn you. They will remind you, okay, to check your pockets in your pants, check your pockets on your sweater or whatever. See if you have anything on you, any mobile phones or watches, and give them to the invigilator before the exam starts. You can also do that, but still you can just leave them in your backpack outside the exam hall. And yeah, that's it. Don't bring any watches or mobile phones. And if you're wondering how you're going to be checking the time, well, they have a big fat digital clock all the way at the front. So all the candidates are going to be facing the digital clock when they are writing the exam. It is not a timer, it's a clock. I don't know if it's the same for all exam centers, but for the one where I took my exam, they had a big fat digital clock showing the current standard time of your country. So it's not a timer, so you do have to be able to do quick maths to calculate how much time you have left. So that's one thing that I want you guys to take note of as well. And of course, don't bring your calculator covers into the exam room, which is why I still have my calculators naked. You can give them to the invigilator once you get into the exam room, but you can just keep them removed and bring this naked calculator body with you in your see-through case. All right, so that's it for your items. But another thing that I want to remind you is to not forget anything important. If you go into the exam room and you forget any kind of important equipment, for example, you forget your calculator or your ruler, you can go back out accompanied by an invigilator, but they stop tolerating that after a couple of weeks of exam season. So I think it was around week 3 for us that the invigilators started warning candidates to not forget anything. And after week 3, they do not allow any students to go back out of the exam room to go grab anything that they need. So you do not want that happening to you. So make sure you have everything on you. Okay, go check all of your equipment before you go in. Check your see-through bag with all your stationery, check your water bottle, make sure you've got your long sleeve clothing so you don't feel cold, and only after you've confirmed that you've got everything that you need for any kind of aspect, whether it's stationery or your long sleeve clothing, your water bottle, make sure you go in only when you know you've got everything that you need. And of course, this is a no-brainer, but you can't borrow stationery from other students, so make sure you've got everything equipped by yourself. And now let's talk about what actually happens on exam day. On exam day, the first thing that I want to tell you guys is that you have to enter the exam hall about half an hour before the actual exam starts. Now this can vary from paper to paper, and for less popular subjects like for HB1, your human biology exams, or things like economics or commerce, you will have to enter the exam hall about 15 to 20 minutes early before subjects where there are many candidates taking the exam, like Maths B or the pure mathematics. You will have to go into the exam room 30 minutes early. So you're gonna have to sit in the exam room for half an hour before the exam starts. And the reason they do that is because the invigilators will have to check your individual timetable slip and your passport, and they have to make sure that you are sitting at the right seat. So on your desk, you will have the candidate number written, and the examiners are going to be matching your candidate number and name on your timetable slip with the one on your seat. And because they're going to have to do this for hundreds of students, they're going to take some buffer time. And during this time, they're also going to be reading aloud the rules and regulations of the exam. For example, what counts as malpractice, how they're going to be giving out the additional seats and so on and so forth. So this buffer time is really important. And a critical implication of this buffer time of 30 minutes is that you need to plan your toilet times and your meal times, your eating times in advance, okay? You can't just say, all right, I'm going to go to the toilet 30 minutes before the exam. You can't do that because 30 minutes before the exam, you're going to be in the exam hall already. So you want to make sure that you've eaten at the right time, you've gone to the toilet at the right time, and you want to count in the 30-minute buffer time before the actual exam start time in your planning of your meal and eating times and your toilet times. And another thing that I want to talk about is the additional sheet. Now, what I've shown on the screen right here is an additional sheet, not from Edexcel International GCSE. I found this on a website, but it looks very similar to the one that you're going to be getting in your exam, and it has all the pieces of information that I want to discuss. So as you can see, on the supplementary or additional answer sheet, you have your candidate number, your center number, your candidate name, the paper reference, and the sheet number. And there's also a little box where you have to write in your sheet number and question number. So that's a little bit different with the Edexcel International GCSE additional paper sheets. And the thing that's most important here is you can only write your answer to one question per additional sheet. So in the example that I've shown here, the student has written 7B and 9C. Now, in the International GCSE exam, you cannot do this. You can only write your response to 7B on sheet number 1. If you want to write the response to 7C or 9C, or really any other question or question part, you need to take another additional answer sheet. This is very important. Almost no student knows about this when they go into the exam room. And that's a very, very, very big disadvantage. It can be really disadvantageous. And when I did my human biology paper 1, which was the first ever paper that we had to sit for, there was a candidate who didn't know about this, and I'm just going to use the pronoun they, and they wrote both, and actually I think they wrote multiple answers for multiple questions on a single sheet. And the time ran out, the invigilator checked the Excel sheet, and the invigilator saw that, and only after the invigilator saw that they had written multiple responses on a single sheet did they realize that what they had done is not allowed. Now, the reason and the explanation that they give for making students write only one question per additional sheet is that different examiners mark different questions. So there might be one examiner marking question 7B, another examiner marking question number 7C. Now, I don't know if a single examiner marks an entire question, so I don't know if one examiner handles question 7, another handles 8, or if it's one examiner handling 7B, another handling 7C, but the best practice is to go with what the invigilators tell you, which is to take one additional sheet per part question. So please remember that before you take additional sheets and before you go into the exam room. And another thing is, guys, don't forget your reference numbers, all right? Now, you will have your reference numbers on the seats of your exam, along with your candidate name and your candidate number, so you don't have to worry about it. But if you can remember what your paper reference is, you don't need to be checking it. You can just write it down from memory. So before you go into the exam room, make sure you know what the subject code is, what the paper code is. So for example, for biology, it is 4BI1/2B or 1B. And if you're doing the Major series, it will be 1BR and 2BR and so on and so forth. So that's what I wanted to talk about for this section. You can only write one question on a digital paper, guys. I emphasize this. This is very important. One question per additional piece of paper. And of course, your paper references, subject codes are very important. All right. So that's everything that I want to tell you guys about exam day and what you can expect and what actually happens. I wanted to give you guys some tips from my experience. So tip number 1, guys, arrive to the exam center early. Okay, you do not want to be late. You do not want to be too early either. So the sweet spot for me is 1 hour before the exam start time. Now that gives me 30 minutes before I go into the exam room to do my preparation stuff, and 30 minutes, and for the next 30 minutes, I'll be sitting in the exam room whilst the invigilators check the timetable slips and the seats. And during this 30 minutes that I have by myself, I try not to study anything new. Now, I kind of broke this rule on biology paper 2, and as soon as I broke that rule, I blundered a very important calculation question that I could have solved if I had a cool head. Now, the thing with studying new things very close to an exam is that it overloads your brain. It confuses the existing connections between the existing pieces of information. So my advice is don't study anything new. Just make sure that you have a high level of confidence and competence when it comes to applying the things that you already know how to do. So the best thing to do, very close to an exam, is to record your commonly asked questions, very common and important mark points, and of course your past mistakes, which is especially important for mathematics exams. You want to be looking back at what you are weak at and how you're going to be preventing those mistakes in this exam. And of course, tip number 3, and I've said this in the 100 days before GCSE exam video, but please take note of the exam start times. So November series, I'm sure that they're going to be starting quite late in the evening. So you want to make sure that you're ready for taking exams in the evening rather than in the morning like you're used to at school. And of course, tip number 4, I'm going to be repeating this as long as I'm making videos about my GCSE or really anything. But please take care of your physical and mental health. If you collapse, if your body collapses, so will your dreams. You do not want to be losing the momentum that you've built the whole year. You want to stay strong until the end. You want to fight until the end, and you want to make sure that you are giving your best, your absolute best performance in the exam. So please take care of your health, of what you're eating, of when you're sleeping, how long you're sleeping, and how consistent your bedtime is. And if you apply these 4 tips, I think you will be able to boost your confidence as well as your results and your performance really on exam day. So that's a wrap for today's video. It was kind of rushed, but I tried to pack as much information as possible into 17-18 minutes. I hope you guys found this video useful. As always, thank you guys for watching. Good luck with examinations, and I'll see you guys in the next one. Peace.